You know, I had to put on my blue shirt for this one. Studio One 5 has just been announced, and I wanted to do a video talking about its features and just kind of give my thoughts about it. It was just released today, and I think it's great. Give you a little bit of background. I switched over to Studio One a few years ago, back when it was Studio One 3. And before that, I was a pretty much all Pro Tools user, and then once I finally stepped over into Studio One 3, I never looked back and I really enjoyed the interface. So I'm a fan of this, and I record all my albums, mixtapes, or whatever you want to call it. This is the tool. And I know I haven't done a lot of reviews of it on this channel or a lot of videos featuring it, but this is what I use to put my songs together. Studio One is a great thing. So let's go ahead and talk about what this thing is. Here we are on the screen. They just announced it. There's a lot of new features. They kind of redid the interface. From big crushers, different browser, chord tracking, channel strip. One of the favorite things I like to use is the fat channel because everything is right there, from your gating to your high pass filtering. That's good for recording vocals. And then it has kind of like this algorithm or algorithmic version or EQ version of like the Rupert Neve hardware, even though I'm still interested in like the hardware versions of it. But it's good to know that I at least have that available in here. One of the main things that really stuck out to me about this platform that they're adding in this update is the composition platform. And I know that like a artist by the name of Stephen Buckner, that I'm calling out by name because I support his work and everything. It's a film composer, and I'm always thinking about he likes to use notation because he actually composes and creates music for live orchestration. And so I think this platform right here will be another great tool in this tool belt. And I am most interested in probably the live performing aspect of it. Now, the live performing aspect of Studio One, I never even really tried to do that because I always defaulted to Ableton. Ableton is a very strong platform for live platform. And if I were to choose one thing to perform live with, it would be Ableton. But it seems like the people at Presonus are now adding another feature to where it gives you kind of like this minimal thing where you're taking your actual songs from your sessions and arranging them in a way so that they play back with minimal information on the screen, so you can focus on your performance and perform that way and pull up your own set list that way. And that's very interesting. I never thought that they would do it that way, but I guess a lot of people are trying to perform with Studio One live. And I never really tried to do that because I'm thinking about, okay, if I'm going to perform a song with Studio One, I got to load up the song and then I got to cut and set up the song in such a way so that so the backing tracks are still there and certain vocal instruments may not be there because I may have a bass player at the event where I'm performing at, whereas in the actual session song or the session files, the bass song track is already there. So I was thinking about those things. So I never really thought of that being an efficient way. So it sounds like, from what I could see here, this is a more efficient way of creating that, or to giving you that live performance aspect. So that's definitely something I'm going to try once I finally get this update and stuff like that. And you know, I think it's just really cool. And then you look over here to the overview, and another thing that I saw that they were talking about was the aux channels. One of the biggest things that kind of hurts me from using live instruments on there is maybe a few things. One thing is that when you're using live instruments like the Moog or the Minilog back there, when I try to sequence with it or use it in a song in Studio One, I have to make sure I open up a channel. Unless I went and did a template. You know, I talked about doing templates before in the past, but unless I open up a channel and then tell it to go to the input, and then on top of that, you have to set up the right MIDI channel. So if you're using a 5-pin DIN connection, you got to make sure that's set up and hooked up the same way. You don't change that so you can easily recover that. Or a USB cable. But if you're using a USB cable, you know, I've talked about having noise issues with USB cables in the past and synthesizers and trying to track that in. Thankfully, with this newer motherboard, I don't have to worry about that. But those are some of the challenges you have. But with this system right here, they have something called aux channels. And I believe those are set up to allow you to instantaneously drag in a hardware synthesizer instrument into your session, with you still being able to control it from your designated MIDI controller and record the output at the same time, probably record the MIDI and track that at the same time as well, which I think is a great thing right here. And look, the list of plugins are continuing to grow. There's all kinds of samples and all kinds of stuff I don't even know about. I haven't dived into. I love that it comes with Melodyne. It's a great thing. And there's going to be more features and stuff like that in the near future. Now, the price of it is pretty laid back as far as like what they're charging for it. The prices I was looking at it is just basic update prices. So if you're already and that's another thing I like about Studio One is its cost of entry now. Now I have to talk about this between trying to get into having your own D.A.W, because you can get in for no cost if you get like a FL Studio program, but then you aren't able to save and record things quite the right way that way. But you know, let's go to the brass tacks. Oh gosh, that's an old term. $400 brand new. And then if you want to update from Studio One 4, that would be me. It'll be $150. Artist is available as well. Update for $100. Well, the artist version is available for $100, and updates from version 4 are $50. So you got cross grade and upgrade features. I'm glad they're not using a subscription based format. I feel like I feel kind of squeamish about doing a subscription based platform when it comes to my software that I use all the time. Maybe it equals out. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that as far as the costs of having a subscription based platform versus the, you know, maybe I don't want to be subscribed a year from now. Maybe if Studio One 6 comes out and I buy Studio One 5, maybe I don't want to use Studio One 6, but in a subscription based format where you don't really own a copy of the software, not like you own it outright, but if you don't own a copy, what if I like my old computer, it's working the way I want to? And I think that's very important when you're looking at different platforms. You know, like I believe Pro Tools, Design Pro Tools is now a subscription-based platform. I don't even know what the status is on that. I haven't even looked at it myself, so I don't really know exactly what the deal is on that. But what I can say is that if Presonus made Studio One 5 a subscription-based platform product, I would probably start looking at other platforms to do music with. I don't know, it's just, maybe I'm just old school, maybe I'm just dated in my philosophy about dealing with microtransactions and the software I used to record music, but I like that I could just pay one price, own it outright, and keep the party moving. If I don't want to upgrade, I don't have to upgrade. If I like everything running the way it was on my old slow computer, then I'm going to keep it running so I can continue making the music that the fans love to hear. And that's what's most important right there. So that's just my first overview of Studio One 5. It just came out. I'm just talking to you about the features that I like, the live set list, the notation, and the aux inputs to make it easier to use your hardware synthesizers, which for me is constantly a challenge because I'm kind of changing stuff around. I got to stop that, slow it down, and I think that's a really good thing. So if you like this type of stuff, let me know. Let me know what you think about Studio One 5. Are you a fan of that? If you don't use Studio One 5, what plugin do you use, or what platforms do you use? Do you use Pro Tools? Do you use Logic? Do you use Ableton? Do you use FL Studio? Do you use Market of Unicorn? Do you even know what Market of Unicorn is? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to keep this show popping. All right.
Dillio on the track.